Hey everybody, it's me, Remy, the comic book poser, and I'm here today to welcome you to Enter the Poserverse. Today's not your average unboxing video, or me talking about what comics you should read, or pining about indie comics, or, me getting clickbait with my kids. As you can see by the rat's nest around me here in the comic book room, the scientists here at Poser Industries have been quite busy working on a new concept for a game that will be hosted here on this very channel. Watch this. Comic book this or that is something that's been bouncing around in my head for months. I've seen people hold all kinds of interesting contests on their channels. People host amazing game shows on their channels. And I wondered what I could bring to the marketplace of ideas, right? I don't have the depth of knowledge or the charisma of a Matt and John to host contests like Comic. I'm no Rob the Rican in 36 Chambers that can roast a bunch of fools about their art in something like Lamer Frame, and I just don't have the time to put together week in and week out of amazing trivia contests that so many people have started doing on their channels. But I can kind of lean into what I do on a daily basis, well, when I, get to teach school and have kids, have a debate show. I'm a debate coach. I love listening to arguments. I love honing people in terms of their skills of how, to clash with words and ideas and not just screaming at each other, which, will that kind of happen on this channel? Probably. I decided to come up with a fairly simple format for people to argue about several hot issues in comics. And for this first season of Comic Book This or That, I'm keeping the topics fairly simple, and I'm limiting most of the things that we'll be discussing to issues primarily of Marvel and DC, even if that's not 100% my bag. So, before we talk about what people will be debating and how they'll be doing it, let me introduce you to the contestants in Season 1 of Comic Book This or That. This list is just alphabetical. We've got big channels with, 1,000 plus subscribers. We got little channels like me of people who are trying to kind of find a way to make their name and have an impact on the comic YouTube community. So without further ado, here are the 16 channels that will be participating in Season 1 of Comic Book This or That. First, you've got Brothers. Yes, they fight, yes, they're goofy, but they talk comics, and they offer some of the most interesting, insightful bits of history on comics, right? That they have a 2-minute history series. They do their live streams where they talk about this, that, and everything. And then you can always see Dustin on, Lamer Frame, where sometimes his art is really, really good. Sometimes his art is really, really bad. So our first contestant in Season 1 is Two Brothers Comics. Number 2, Adrian APM, aka Solid High the Comic Guy. The man of a million voices and an endless sea of boxes that have to be unboxed. It's time to see what he can do, right? Time to get him to talk shop. What Adrian can do when he's clashing with another intellectual equal. Number 3, you can't start a new game show without inviting in the champion of the Comic Book Quarantine Trivia Madness Tournament. Ooh-wee, let's go! It's time for the man who hails from Ohio, Greg the Bearded Comic Bro. Number 4, fellow Kansan. I didn't know this guy was from Kansas, that I caught on to his ending way too late, let alone did I know this guy worked in the same school district as me as a teacher at one of my sister high schools. This man loves some Turtles, he loves some Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and he hates sleeves. So there's no better way to introduce contestant number 4 other than saying, "Go Cats, Cowabunga, and it's Morphin Time," Steve from Burke Family 54. Number 5, the immortal Biggie Shack is not a man who is without words. He's not someone who speaks lightly. You see him rocking that belt. You see him rocking the mic. You see him calling people out and cutting promos like it's nobody's business. Contestant number 5, maybe a champion of our own hearts, coming to a screen near you, the immortal Biggie Shack. Number 6. You want to talk about someone who has a lot of comics. You want to talk about someone who has a lot of sweet slabs. Every week when they come out, I watch this guy's top 100 slabs where he ranks them from 1 to 100. Oh, top 100 slabs that are 9/8. And I look at my wall and I go, I got 2. I can make a video about 2 slabs that I like. He's charismatic. He's one of the hosts of Comigories, and you see him all over the place. Matt, the boy who had 7. Contestant number 7. Or contestants number 7. Our second channel that's a duo, we have the hosts of Comic Book Quarantine Trivia Madness, and Stephanie will punch me if I get this name wrong. They're New Yorkers. They're chatty, they're feisty, they're combative, but they're also 2 of the nicest people in the comic book community. I want to see what the hosts of the comic book game show that I first stumbled onto when I joined the comic book YouTube community, see what they can do when they're on the other side of the mic. Number 8. He's not the champion of the Quarantine Comic Book Trivia Madness tournament, but he was the runner-up. Every time he pops into a chat, there is a ruckus. No, not a ruckus, chaos. He's a man with a lot of strong opinions, and he will always tell you what you think and does not give a shit about how you feel. So who's better for a debate tournament than my man, Chaos and Comics? Number 9. My favorite comic book and burrito themed YouTube channel from the great state of Michigan, which I will argue to this day that is not part of the Midwest. You part of the Great Lakes, sons. Nick, Cole, and Todd all read comics. They all read them differently, and sometimes they love to argue about whatever amongst themselves. It's time for them to unleash the 3-headed hydra that is the comic burrito on the world. Number 10. I feel like introducing this contestant. I have too many sleeves on. I don't have enough Ninja Turtle books around, and I sure as heck ain't got any bourbon. He is one of my favorite personalities, or when he puts content. A man who was taken away from the great state of Texas and plumped down in Georgia, where he is stationed with the military, but he is still grinding the streets, finding them deals. And I'm not just repping the Turtle Club because I needed to wear a shirt. It's been a while since I've shared. But coming in, contestant number 10, Edwin the Comic Jabroni. Number 11. Many of us wake up every single day to the sweet, sweet dulcet tones of this man's voice. And he will always tell us that today might be the day that you find your new favorite YouTube channel. He's making panel appearances. He's the TV Guide network of comic book and pop YouTube. He's on game shows. This man is all over the place, and I want to see him argue. I want to see him heated. I hear everybody talk about how JB might be one of the nicest people in the comic book community. I want to see his claws come out when JB of Discovery Bay Comics enters Comic Book This or That. Number 12. Half of one of my favorite weekly YouTube shows, the comic book pop culture show. Say it's bad that I say it's one of my favorites and I can't get the name right and it's too damn late or early in the morning. The man who plays Madden and wins sloppy games, or lets his little Mo show his Fortnite skills to the world on his YouTube channel. We are talking about my man Mo from Dudes Talking Comics. Number 13. If this were a contest where it was a race to see who had the most copies of like Secret Wars number 8, or who was the only person to have like an entire short box full of Venom books, or a crazy obsession with karate, then this contestant would win. But he talks comics all the time. I love watching the superhero review, the live show on usually Mondays that he does from his place. We know he's got the covers, we know he's got the knowledge, but we'll see what happens when our friend Karate Kevin from the superhero review gets in an argument. Number 14. This is one of the channels that gave me the confidence to put together something on YouTube. When I first started wanting to put together my blog to just write about comic book reviews, since that's where I was far more comfortable, they, on Twitter, found me and gave me words of support. I would watch their Wednesday and then Thursday live streams incessantly. They have been growing massively. They've been very successful, and they get some of the dopest creative talent in the industry on their channel. They might be two of the nicest guys from Texas, and when I say that Texas only has two good things, U-Turn Lanes and Whataburger, I might have to add that or extend that list to 3. U-Turn Lanes, Whataburger, and contestant number 14, Lost in Comics. Contestant number 15 is the leader of the Midnight Mafia. You can see him on YouTube, well, I say see, you can hear him on YouTube Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays when the Midnight Market convenes. You can see him on Fridays where he has his own quiz show beginning, and you can see him on Saturdays as he starts to do some of his own community appreciation work. The man who has one of the hottest bumpers where I just love hearing his name screamed because it sounds like a cutscene from World of Warcraft. The man, the myth, the legend, Metaphorical. And coming in at number 16, this guy might have the slickest haircut, the smoothest lines, and the biggest obsession with horror films in the entirety of the comic book community. I love watching this guy chop it up as the other half of the weekly pop culture show. I love watching his trailer reactions, and I loved that me and Mo bullied him into taking his hat off once he hit 400 subscribers in the live stream. Our 16th and final contestant of Season 1, TK of TK's Batcave. So let's talk format. Comic Book This or That is very, very simple. I have created a list of topics that you'll see slowly scrolling along the screen now, which is very simple. It's 2 binary options, like who's the best Flash, Barry Allen or Wally West? Who's the most impactful character, Superman or Captain America? The best misfit team-up from DC, the Doom Patrol or the Suicide Squad? Very, very simple binary topics like that. Everybody, once their topic is selected, will have a couple of days to do some research, to put their arguments together, and get ready to persuade not only you, but a panel of comic book YouTube guest judges from time to time. As you see this list of topics scroll along the screen, if there are any ideas that you have that fit this or that format, drop some of them in the comments below. The way that this will work in terms of our tournament, we're going to have a single elimination style debate tournament. You can see popped up on the screen here the number of, or over here, because I'm bad at pointing at my camera, the number of speeches that people will give, but essentially our 2 speakers will alternate between giving 3 or 2-minute speeches, and they will have some time to not only prepare during the debate, but also ask each other questions. But everybody has the opportunity to give an opening speech, a rebuttal speech where they will clash with their opponent, and a closing argument. And at the end of the debate, not only will the panel of guest judges that we will talk about in a few moments get to vote, but you, the chat, will get to participate as well in terms of selecting the winner and who gets to move on to the next round of the Comic Book This or That Season 1 tournament. In terms of how we will seed people, probably on Friday of this week, I will try and host a live stream sometime during the late afternoon or early evening, where I'm going to literally put all 16 of our contestants on the rigged wheel, and one at a time, as the wheel selects someone, we will put them in seeding them from number 1 all the way down to number 16 to set up our matchups. As that happens, whoever is the highest seed in the first round of debates will have a choice. They will either get to pick their topic, or they will yield and let their opponent pick the topic, but they get to decide which half of the this or that they will defend. The goal is to have everybody, to give everybody a couple 3-4 days to prepare their arguments, so maybe they can be a little bit more polished, but we know If everybody's like me or any of my students, they're going to show up at the last minute and just start yelling about their topic, which, cool. But we will do this. We will make sure everybody has some time, and more importantly, we'll have time to kind of hype everybody up, to get everybody out to watch each round of the debate. Each episode, I'm hoping, will be a little bit more than an hour long, where we'll have 2 featured debates per episode, and then we'll have a little bit of time for some post-game debriefing between the judges and the competitors, or someone can complain about how they got robbed and they should have won. All of those things are fair game on Comic Book This or That. So that's it. That's my next brilliant idea to contribute to the goings-on of Comic Book YouTube. We have not officially set a day of the week that this is going to happen, but right now it seems like for most people, Thursday evenings around 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, it will work for them. But pay attention to Friday's stream, where hopefully we will have the date of the debut episode of Comic Book This or That Live ready to announce. So that's it. Hopefully you like the idea. Hopefully you're intrigued by the concept. It's still kind of in some flexible stages in terms of topics or the format. So if you have any suggestions that you think would be something kind of cool and make you want to watch this, put it in the comments down below, and I'll look at it before we announce the seating and things like that on Friday. So hopefully you enjoy this. Hopefully this becomes something that's interesting to you, and hopefully this becomes must-watch stream or must-watch on the rewind, so you can watch, big channels and small channels alike go toe-to-toe and figure out who's right in Comic Book This or That. So thanks for stopping by, and as always, have a good one.